Okay. Okay, welcome. This is a presentation. I'm just here because I'm speaking English. Maria Adele Cipolla is our real hero, and she will be giving you the actual demonstration of the software. But what we'll see is the main point is the whole idea of digital pattern making that I'll first introduce to everyone with a few slides. Okay, first let us review. Kathy, I'm going to mute your
Yes.
mic, okay? Getting a little bit of background
Okay.
from you. Okay. Okay, first, let's remember what are the main steps in garment production? First is that you have base patterns, or you somehow develop a pattern. Some people do it on a mannequin. Some people do it based on calculations of body measurements. Then you have patterns, and you have a collections of patterns for different models. Then you make prototypes to test the pattern and to get it right. And when a pattern is all right, now, this may be not a perfect example of the sequence, but more or less this is what happens. And then when you have a pattern that is pretty stable, you grade it. So you develop it to different sizes. Then once you have all of the variations of sizes and everything that you need, you place the pattern onto the piece of fabric that you have, optimizing it so that you waste as least amount of fabric as possible. You physically cut the pieces out. And then you have some kind of organization, more or less industrialized, to put the pieces together, to sew them together in actual assembly, the garment. Now here you can see the same steps as a linear process. Hardly anybody does all of this. But if we want to look at the whole process, this is the whole process, and the purpose of this is to see how do different digital platforms fit into this general schema of things. The most well-known platforms are Lectra, Gerber, Kathy uses Gemini, I think, the industrial platforms that start assuming that you already have a pattern. The pattern is digitized, then the software is very good at doing the grading, at efficiently placing it onto the lengths. The Lectra, I know, makes cutting machines that from the same software will cut out the pieces, and then it manages production with the numbers on the pieces and so on and so forth. It goes into all of the more industrial processes of buying stock, managing production, and so on and so forth. But the point is that leaves out the actual pattern making process, which is what we're more interested in, at least today. A lot of people in some fashion design schools that we've run across, for instance, the people at Vogue, use Rhinoceros, or affectionately known as Rhino, which is the 3D modeling software. You can make a mannequin sort of made to measure. You drape in 3D in a real virtual environment onto that, and then you can sort of take the pieces off, flatten them out, and then that way you have your pattern. Now that's a way of making a pattern and sort of almost trying it out on a prototype. It's three-dimensional, so it gives you another type of experience. So you could also do something in Rhinoceros and then feed it into one of the more industrial systems. But well, as far as I know, none of that does what the actual pattern making. People in school learn how to make patterns with the manuals that say that a certain part of the shoulder should be dimensioned as 1/4 of the chest diameter, or something like that, because you learn to make a pattern with all of the parts of the pattern based on proportions of body measurements. And none of this software does that except the one we're going to look at today, which is called MacroGen. So MacroGen captures this early part of actually developing the pattern, developing the model. and then feeds it into a 2D pattern maker software system, as we'll see, which is not as powerful and capable as the more industrial systems, but it can also help you do grading and a little bit of placement. In TCBL, we're looking at the different business models. And what we can see here is that the industrial software is best for mass production, which focuses and gets the most value out of these parts of the process. They generally have their own collections of patterns. They fool around with them a little bit on the paper, but they hardly ever go back to the original process of actually making the pattern. That's what tailors do in the made-to-measure scenario. They know how to, they take your body measurements and they know how to make you a jacket or a dress exactly made to measure, because they still do that based on the measurements of the body. So you see, made to measure is a totally different space, totally different activities, and served by totally different software as compared to mass production. In the middle we have short runs, and short runs, that's our assistant here. We'll tell, sorry, that's my dog. Even the software says loud microphone level. In the middle we have short runs, and short runs would mean a production, a type of production where maybe you don't need the totally sophisticated production management features that you have for the mass production software, but you do need to do pattern sampling, and you may do grading. Okay, so this is the, again, we're interested in looking at this this software suite, because in TCBL we're particularly interested in these first two business models. We're interested in made to measure and short runs also, because what we're really looking at here is the role and the potential of independent designers. There are a lot of small, also because of the possibilities of selling over the internet, a lot of small and independent designers are popping up that tend to have a style and have an approach towards more sustainable fashion, towards more quality, built to last wear, which is coherent with our general objectives. So, and that fits in here, and that's why we're also interested in looking at this software, because they don't always use the digital pattern making software, because they see the big industrial systems that are extremely expensive, and they say, well, that's not made for me because I don't do that kind of stuff. That's why we're going to look at these things today, because we want to see if independent designers and people interested in making small runs can use digital pattern making using a platform that's made more for them than for the big guys, what new business models could they then try and explore? Okay, the next step, the next slide, you want to come in on this, Maria Adele? Here you see a nice old guy making patterns, and let me just make one comment. You see the whole collection. This is a beautiful picture, the whole collection of patterns.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Maria Adele Cipolla. So this picture,
just this one comment. The only thing I wanted to say before giving it over to you is, if you look at all of these patterns on the wall and you look at that guy, he is currently in his mind going through mental calculations in order to draw those lines, in order to draw those patterns. And the patterns on the wall have lost all of that knowledge. All of the reasoning that went into making that shape that way is gone, and all you have is a piece of paper. What we're interested in is capturing that knowledge and that logic. Okay, sorry,
yes,
over to you.
This is what we call an enterprises, manufacturing enterprises heritage, because this is a really precious treasure. And when the big platforms like Lectra, Gemini, and Gerber went on the market, enterprises found it easy to digitalizing something that they just had and transferring in those patterns into to the CAD programs. Then because we know that then these softwares grades and the patterns and allow people to have a transformation in sizes and in shapes. Okay, so probably many of you know this kind of job. This is a job really stressful and tiring, and this is the reason why it is a disappearing skill. And moreover, the memory of the calculation get lost when you finish your work, because you have only a shape. Adapting the patterns into different measurement and fashion, it is possible, but is you can misunderstand the initial calculation behind each pattern. So let's go to see how instead MacroGen works. MacroGens work using a sort of a tailor brain, because first of all it asks you the body measurement. You see here picture how to take measurement. Everyone takes measurement in a different way. So you can continue with your method. For example, here there is the windows that ask the measurement needed to make a pencil skirt. So the waist circumference, the hip circumference, the hip height, and the skirt length. And afterward, when you have finished your pattern, you can change these measurements, and in this way you have the same pattern in a different size, or in following the personal body measurement of your client, for example. So this is the made-to-measure system. Here an example of how MacroGen works. When you read a tailoring manual, usually the description, the instruction following starting indicating a segment. For example, AB is related to a quarter waist circumference plus the wearability. And the only difference in MacroGen is that you have to indicate points. So you have to indicate where a point is related to another point. For example, and you move up and down and right and left in the screen using the Cartesian axis, Y and X. For example, we have the window related to 0.5, and it says that 0.5, this is from 0.4, a quarter of hip circumference plus 2 centimeters of wearability. So when you have finished your all the pieces needed in your pattern, for example, here we have the same pencil skirt, we have a front, back, waist belt, and we can go through MacroGen to a button in MacroGen directly to the second software linked to MacroGen, which is PatternMaker. PatternMaker at this point asks again you to confirm or change the body measurement you indicated before. In this way, you can have another size or a made-to-measure model. This is a 2D CAD, so it works like a 2D CAD because you can color pieces, you can fill with pattern, you can add text, you can move, cut, joint, rotate, mirror, reflect, add seam allowances, which is really important, and add facings. You can move a vertex, for example, move points, so you can adjust if you want the pattern both inside MacroGen and in PatternMaker. Here, for example, some patterns I made using MacroGen and PatternMaker together. For example, look at those flares which are really complicated to realize manually with paper and pencil. In this case, it was really simple to have them. So the benefits to people who professionally makes patterns is that you can work in a comfortable working position. You can work in fact in front of your screen of the computer. You have better control over models and pattern design. You can memorize not just the result, but the process behind each piece. You can make for yourself a catalog of base models. For example, you know, sloper, skirt, pants, shirt, jacket, and then you have a precious treasure with you, and you easily can make a transformation in terms of measurement and shapes. You quickly can test what you made, because you can print with a home printer, a A4 size printer. You can print your model and test quickly, and you can develop each pattern or made to measure, or with the graded version in different sizes. The benefit for designers and producers is that you can have a dialogue with the person who make patterns in a more aware way, because it is really easy to learn these softwares. And for producers, you have a reduction of fitting sessions, because the patterns is more accurate. And you can export the patterns file in other more complex platform like Electra, Gemini, and Gerber, but with the upgrade of the PatternMaker software, you can make yourself the grading and the placement. So thank you for this first part of our lesson. So we can go inside the software to make together a pencil skirt.
Okay, while I need to shift over to Maria Adele's computer where she has the software installed. Are there any questions in the meantime? I'll unmute all of your mics. Are there any questions about that presentation?
At the moment, no.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Not for the moment.
Okay, now I change presenter. Okay. Devi aprire il browser. No,
Qua?
esatto. Condividi. Ok. Sì, ora puoi andare.
Do you see the screen?
No, not yet. Just a second. Scusami. Qua. Condividi. Ah, sì. Okay, now we're seeing it. Okay, go. This is the screen of PatternMaker. Are you muted? I'll unmute you.
Okay. Are you listening to me? Okay.
Yes.
First of all, we have to. This is the MacroGen interface. Not really fancy, but it's functional. So first of all, to start non mi sentivano.
Okay, ora sì.
Okay. So I start again. This is the MacroGen interface. We have started our project. We have named it through this button. You have save as, and then we can start. First of all, you have to fill the body measurement through this button, prompted measure. So we new measure. I'm inserting the measurement needed to make a pencil skirt. So waist circumference is medium size. Okay, save, another one. $92, save, another one. Okay, we can save, clicking on OK, and we have the body measurement we need. We just have the number 1 point, which is a default point. I put a bit far from the point start, just not to have the pattern glued in this corner. And we can start with other point. The first point is number 2. The number 2, this is from point number 1, waist circumference divided in 4. Okay. Here you can see the wide range of point you can use. The most common is coordinate, but you have also center point, rectangle, continue, intersect different points, really useful, dart, right angle, place corner, mirror, rotate. In this case, we will see some of these points. So what is the number? Okay. So we have these 2 points with determining at this moment the waistline. Now we need to have the length of the skirt with number 3. So we use the y axis. The
Y, epsilon.
Y, yes. Skirt length, the total skirt length in negative value, because if you want to go down, you have to indicate a negative number. If you want to go up, you have to indicate a positive value. Excuse me. It's a problem.
Sorry, there you didn't give value for the skirt length.
Yes. C'è un problema. Puoi venire?
Sì. Apri la tabella delle misure. Apri la tabella delle misure.
Ah, ecco qual è il problema. Excuse me, I had a problem. Yes, you're right. 50. Okay. Sorry.
Somebody saw that.
Okay, this is number 3. Thanks. So we need to determine the hip length, the total. From point 1, not 3. Yes. So the hip height is from waistline and it determines the hip from the waistline. It determines the hip line. From point 4, we put the point 5 that we saw before in the presentation, which is the hip circumference divided for 4 plus 2 centimeters of wearability. Okay, so we have to close at this moment the shape with a rectangle point. We call it 6th, from which is at 90 degrees between 3 and 5. Okay, so at this point we can start to draft more or less our shape. New object, front skirt, simply pressing over numbers and closing the shape in this way. So we have to determine now the roundness of the hip. So we need to have a curve here, you know. So we can add a center point between 2 and 5. We call it 7, 2, and 5. Okay, and we have to get a point perpendicular from the axis to 7, a right angle point, and we give it at this moment 3 centimeters. Okay, so we can change now our shape, inserting the corner point. So clicking on 2, insert 8, but this isn't enough, but because we have to change this point from line to X start. Automatically the number 8 became a corner point. So we have a nice shape of the roundness of the hip. If you want to continue, we can add the dart at the center front. You have something to ask?
No. No.
Okay. Okay. So to make to make nicer this neck waistline, we can up of 2 centimeter. Yes, this point, and now we can get the center in this way. Okay. So from here we can start our dart point. No, we can determine the height of the length of the dart with hip height divided in 2. We call this point 10. And with the point dart, this is a really nice point. So you have to indicate the opening point, in this case is 9. The apex point in this case is 10. And the wideness of the dart in this case is 2. Okay. This point is really useful because the two sides of the triangle are exactly the same measure. So at this point we can give a little roundness here, so we can have a certain point between 11 and 2. And with the right angle we can have the corner point. Okay, so changing the shape, we can insert after 1, insert the point 9, the point 10, the point 11, and the point 13, and rounding with X start and we get this curve. Maybe 2 centimeters is too much. We can make it 1.5. Be careful because this software doesn't accept commas. You have only to put dots. Okay, so we have a nice shape. We can orientate a bit this, for example, 1 centimeter. Yes. Okay, it looks nice, I think. We can go now from this software to the other software. Save, create macro, and test the pattern in macro in PatternMaker. Okay, and so we have the other software. As I said before, the software asks you again to confirm or change body measurement. I confirm, and I have this piece of pattern. So now I can move, for example. Okay, so it is at the center of 4 A4 pages, because this grid shows the measure of a A4 grid, page. I can change this. For example, if you want to print in in another size, this one, yes, with so you can add here your printer, or you can print as PDF, for example. In this case, you have a lot of different sizes. For example, we can print in A3. Yes, so we have only 2 pages in this case. Moving the piece. Okay. So we can color it, for example. Now it is only, yes, for example, this color is nicer, but also it is important because if you have a really complex pattern, for example, you have a suit with jacket and pants, you can color with, in red, for example, all pieces related to the jacket, and you can color in blue the pieces related to the pants, for example. You can fill inside with a pattern. For example, you can fill with vertical lines, which are really useful to have a clear, or which is the green line. Green line, yes. And it is so you have a lot of things to do. For example, adding text. Now, for example, we can add seam allowances. No, this is offset. You can use it for seam allowances, for example, and you have a shape seam allowances similar for each side. But if you want seam allowance is different, because for example you want the M of 5 centimeters and the other of 2 centimeters. You can, first point, second point, is this the correct selection? Yes, you. Okay, 2 centimeters. We can go. Okay, yes. Yes. Okay, and here I can indicate 5 centimeters. Okay, and we have the hem. Che è successo, Jess? Aiutami. Oh. We don't know what happened. No, ti prego.
Vabbè.
Non posso fare altro. Levami la schermo.
There's some bugs in the program, and in fact, you may have noticed when she was using MacroGen, all of the points appeared in the upper left corner, and she had to click on them to open them. That's a bug that's being fixed. These are recent releases. But again, this is a small software house. The software is not expensive, so it requires a little bit of patience.
Scusa, bloccato, quindi non dito.
Vuoi cercare di aprire il file di nuovo?
Non posso, non me lo fa fare. Non me lo fa fare. Non riesco, devo forzare la cosa.
Spegni il tuo microfono. Okay, if there are any questions to Maria Adele, I will try and get the program to open again. But I will enable your microphones. Pretty much that was the demo anyway.
Some questions?
So,
I'm again Maria Adele.
Okay, I am Caterina.
Hi,
What I
Caterina.
see, and I would need Irina, Alina, and the technical team as well to be very open and talk through their expertise.
Yeah.
And Elvis, who is a designer, because I invite to this webinar from my product development team. Actually, the entire team is there, but they are represented by Irina and Alina through this online connection.
Yeah.
Which they know, beside the design, they know to make the base pattern,
Yeah.
the grading, and the placement. So they are working from the design till OK production, the whole process on Gemini CAD for short runs.
Yeah.
In the company. Elvis is a designer and is our colleague in our project Place Lab into Reginova with Redu.
Yeah.
So I would need them to get and talk openly based on their expertise, what they feel about what they saw till now.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why I wanted to get in, just to ask them to really openly tell what they feel, what they think up to now based on the expertise or the lack of it.
Okay, it's me, Irina.
Hi, Irina.
Well, I'm talking I have experience in patterns, and I believe it's not so dynamic. It takes quite a lot of time making a pattern, honestly.
So do you think it isn't so practical for you?
For me, as a pattern maker, which I don't use any more formulas for constructing a pattern.
Yeah.
I don't know if would be that useful.
So you don't think that this software can be useful for you?
Yes. Yes and yes and
Yes.
no.
Lost in
Yes.
translation.
They are not, because they already have the experience.
Exactly.
Maria Adele. They have already the experience. The way they handle Gemini system to make the pattern,
Yeah.
it is quite efficient. They are working quite quickly.
Okay.
And another
But,
thing, they have already a base. They already have a base of patterns.
Yeah,
They are working on.
Yes, because you just have the base patterns. In fact, don't you so don't you happen to you to need to start from scratch a new pattern?
Yes.
Exactly. But I would need, Irina, is possible, it are still at work, Roxana and Anna?
No, are not.
They are not. Okay, because
Yes, but I believe because I've been at the beginning as well.
yes,
And
exactly.
was very helpful made to measure, and made to measure from Gemini. It's almost looks very it's similar like what you have presented us. And yes, it is helpful for a beginner.
Yes. In fact, I think that this system is good for young designer who
Yes.
don't have a catalog of basic patterns on paper.
Exactly.
Yes, and I don't know, but I think that enterprises sooner or later want to renew the catalog, for example, and it is really useful for made to measure because as you saw before, you don't have sizes, but you have something calculated
Yes.
on a personal body measurement. For
Yes.
example, I started to use these softwares when I worked in theaters, because in theaters, in opera house especially, you work with people with don't really healthy bodies, and you have to make one by one patterns. And this is the right thing because we weren't accustomed with sizes. So I think it is useful for an enterprise that are starting from scratch to build up a catalog for young designers, and for those, for example, wedding gown, in those luxury fashion which is needed a precise pattern.
For sure.
Yes.
I am sure, Maria Adele, that is exactly what is useful for.
Yeah.
And what I recommend, because we will going to be able to use this soft for a couple of time, isn't it? I understood properly that we can have one for the place lab.
Yeah.
And try and show to, for example, you know, the association FIT, which actually is the association of the young designers.
Yeah.
Over 100 of them.
Yeah.
And on the Place Lab, with Elvis' help, and with some of Irina and Alina time as well, we will going to see, what we need to see is a designer who never made a pattern, how useful and how easy they can use this soft. Meantime, Alina and Irina will be able to get back with the feedback based on their expertise from when they start with the Gemini and where they are today, how would be maybe improve this soft from their expertise. So we win from 2 points. One from an expertise person, which is coming with the feedback to make it efficient, this soft, and one from actually different type of designers, which will tell how useful is the soft. What do you think?
Are you asking to me, Katerina?
Yes. Do you feel that would be useful?
But first of all, is a cheaper system because the MacroGen-PatternMaker you can spend at maximum 700 euros. And you don't need to have complicated equipment like digitizing and the cutting system, because you can print with your domestic printer, and so it's useful even for housewives, for example.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a good way to start for a young student, for example, who don't have a big income. And
Okay.
when I started to use this software, I wasn't able to cut. I used to work in theater designing the sketch of the costumes, but there are other people that took care of making patterns. I thought
Yeah.
it was really difficult to learn, so I didn't care before. I didn't care before.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I started with MacroGen. I took a tailor manual, a traditional tailor manual. I started following the instruction, filling into MacroGen the simple instruction I read in the manual, and I quickly got a pattern. Because yes,
Okay.
it's difficult to draft a pattern because you have to do a lot of calculation in your brain, but it is the software that may make it for you.
Yes, I think that for designers, as I said, the 100 designer in the FIT plus the ones in the art university are the ones to present this soft. So we will going to have it onto our place lab.
Yeah.
We will going to make workshops with designers from FIT and designers from the art university.
Yeah.
And we will make sure this is the way to disseminate.
Yeah.
But what I was telling is that because we have the chance of my development team expertise, especially on, I'm talking Irina, Alina, which are with us now, they will see, when we'll have a chance and a little bit of time, they will see how this soft is working now compared to what they've been, they did when they start. Just to give a feedback for the efficient, maybe is a way to even make it more efficient. But this is another thing.
It is obvious that this is more efficient than made to measure from Gemini, because on Gemini you have to introduce all the formulas for every length or every point you add.
Yeah.
So
but then is a great advantage then, Irina.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact.
Yes, that's good.
It is very easy now because you can add the measurement, the circumferences, everything, and the computer add the point directly.
Yeah. In fact,
this is a great feedback. This is a great feedback. Thank you very much, Irina.
Yes, thank you, Irina. Yes, it seems that MacroGen think like a tailor, because the same way a tailor does.
Okay, so then it's great. Then this soft is clear for us now that is good for designers and is good for the art university.
Yes.
So we can have it on Regenova Place Lab to start making workshops for the designers in FIT and designers on the art university here in the region.
Yeah. I hope that some young designer can get a job with this software, because at least in Italy the profession of pattern making is really asked.
We actually have a project here now between the Textile University and the Art University. We have a project because the problem in Romania is that the designers of the Art University don't know to do the patterns and don't have the knowledge of the fabric and the pattern when they actually make the sketch, the design.
In fact, the same things everywhere in Europe. Yes. They only learn how to make a sketch, for example. Nothing about pattern making. Yes. Yes, I'm not the owner of this software house. I only suggest it because I use it. As you saw before, there are still some problems because they are young, they are improving the system, but more or less I managed to work with these softwares for 12 years and I worked well. So at the moment it is the only thing that allow you to make a pattern from scratch.
That's true.
As far as I know. As far as I know. Yes.
Yeah, it's already confirmed, because as Irina said, she already confirmed that the way she was starting on Gemini made to measure, that Gemini made to measure is more complicated than this one.
Yes.
So this is helpful.
And especially because you have to follow rules not related to the tailor profession, so it's you can get confused. Instead, with MacroGen, you use the same rules you use in tailor workshops.
Yeah. Elvis, what do you think? What is your opinion? Because you are a designer. What is your opinion?
Obviously, it's more easy to use than Gemini, so you can generate your own pattern.
Yeah.
But,
that is a good news. And do you think we have a chance in the Place Lab together to make those workshops for young designers and the Art University?
I think it would be useful, because from what I did in my time at the university, by learning a little bit of Gemini, I forgot everything because I didn't use it afterwards, and there are a lot of information that are only for pattern makers, but the industrial ones, not for the small designers.
And another thing, excuse me, go on.
Say.
No, don't worry.
Excuse me, Elvis, I interrupted you. No, another thing is that students learn how to use Electra Gemini at the university, but once they are out of the university, they can't afford to buy so expensive softwares, so they can continue. Yeah. It's the same for Rhinoceros, for example. Instead, MacroGen is more or less affordable. It's a good equipment for young designers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
just some final thoughts, if I may.
Please.
From my view of things, it could be interesting if you introduce this way, Place Lab, and we look at the possible new business models that could happen. For instance, you could train pattern makers who could work at a distance. They could use a software like this, offer their skills to all of these places in France and Italy where they're lacking pattern making skills. And you could train them in your Place Lab. They can develop patterns based on sketches and photographs or whatever, using a software like this, and send them. And it could be interesting to see that. Or you could also imagine young designers coming out of school using this to do their ideas and their designs, outputting the DXF. We have the commitment of the software producers to help us make sure the DXF works well with Gemini. In case it doesn't, DXF always needs a little bit. But you could imagine these young designers from the Place Lab passing their designs on to you, and you could do the short run production, and they could sell over the internet. So it could be interesting to see new ways you could work together and expand the markets of you could diversify what Cathy Fashion does as services for young designers with smart runs. I mean, even from Italy, people could send you these patterns, and it could be interesting. We'll be having a lot of people using them, I think, in the Making Lab in Palermo. And it would be interesting to see how can we do this at a distance. No?
is exactly what we want to do in the Place Lab. This is why I'm thanking Elvis. He come to the webinar in such short notice, and as well I thank my team as well, Irina and Alina, because they were going to work together in this Place Lab, exactly for the young designers and for the art university students.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is great.
I suggest to use a manual, a tailoring manual, and trying first of all to translate the instruction into MacroGen. Obviously, there are a lot of tutorials available from the PatternMaker website, so you can print or see videos. But it is
for MacroGen as well, or only for PatternMaker?
for both in English. But I am here to help you if you have some problems. So don't hesitate to contact me for some problems. As far as I know about these softwares, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you all for participating. Numerous final comments.
There is also Stefania from Greece.
She left us.
Okay.
We'll catch up. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
So
everyone.
what would be the next step? We were going to link into that link, the pattern links as well, or how, because we need to install that in one of our computers, yeah?
Yes, I sent you the licenses. I would install it somewhere and start to play with it.
Yeah.
Connect through Skype and see what happens.
We'll be able to do that in maximum 3 weeks, because right this second we are trying to reorganize and redecorate the Place Lab. Okay?
Great.
Okay.
Send us pictures.
The license lasts 4 months from the moment you started to install. Okay?
Okay. So we'll keep in touch. As soon we have the Place Lab decorated and renewed, in maximum 2 to 3 weeks, we'll install, because we will need to make some groups of workshops for this FIT organization with those young designers plus the university students.
Fantastic.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.